Hi, welcome to Denver Sports TV. I'm your host, Michelle Bundy, along with co-host Greg Rashid, who is sitting over here looking a little funky. Let him explain it.
No, wait a minute. I'm not looking funky. First of all, I'm glad to be back here. I have missed you. I have been on a sojourn on the East Coast, and I've come back with my crown because I was crowned on the East Coast the king of sports. I'm not only the real sports authority, I am the king now, and I was crowned there, so I want you fans out there to know that.
I'm just playing along for the simple sake it's easier to play along than fight this one.
Well, you know, the fact is that I was right. I said they would be 6-10. They finished 9-7, but hear me out.
Yeah, 6-10, 9-7, same thing.
At the halfway point, they were 6-2, right?
Right.
And that means if you go through that, if they had finished 6-2 again, they would have been 12-4. You would have been right.
I know. Why do you think I'm mad?
But they ended up 3-5. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 2 is 10. 6-10, I win. That's why I am king.
You know what? I couldn't even understand that.
I am
just
king.
Laughing.
You
That's a lot of math. That sounded like what the possibilities needed to be for the Broncos to make the playoffs.
I had to play into that. I mean, that's the thing. But 6-10, I was right. Second half of the season, you don't win the Super Bowl the first half of the season. Second half. Listen to me. I was 6-10. I won. She won the first half. She's the first half champion, but I am the second half. 6-10. Sorry, Bronco fans.
Whew, this was a good one.
But anyway.
Anyway, let's move on. What we're going to do this week, actually, is kind of review the season, see what happened, play some of our favorite moments, some of our favorite interviews from the Broncos the past 16 weeks.
It reminds me of kind of when I was growing up and you would look at something like My Three Sons or Leave It to Beaver or Happy Days, and they would do these shows at the end of the year like, remember this,
their
Beaver?
Favorite moments.
Yeah. So we're doing that. We're going to do that, our favorite moments.
All right, who should we start off with?
Let's start at the beginning of the season when things were going very well.
Very well.
Yeah, and that would be
Portis, maybe?
Portis,
Should we start off with Portis? It was funny. We asked him if it was tough to get in and play a game and maybe only get one rep at a time when he's used to coming from Miami and being the star and getting the ball every single time. And why don't we go down to Portis, which is kind of funny, and listen to him talk about how hard it is or how not hard it is to only get one rep a game.
Yeah, man, at Miami, that's all I did. So, I mean, at Miami, we had the same James Jackson, Isaiah Davenport, myself. Then we had Willis McGehee, me, and Frank Gordon. All three of us was different pace runners. Willis was a tough-nosed runner. So, coming here, I mean, it's the situation I'm used to.
Is it tougher, though, to get into a rhythm and stuff when you're not out there every play?
It is, but you got to look at it like, well, you're out there for one play right now, so give your all on this play, and you know what I'm saying, if you're still in or if you need a breather, somebody else to come in and spare you. So you try to make the best of that one play.
Obviously, it did not end that way with Portis only getting one rep. Another interesting thing was, I believe it was during the St. Louis game.
That's right.
Where Beuerlein was warming up on the side.
Because this is the first time that, you know, after 3 years, Mike Shanahan said, I'm going to pull out Greasy if he's in trouble. And in the first game in St. Louis when they were losing, that they had Beuerlein in the third quarter warming up. And it looked like he was coming in, but somehow Greasy convinced Shanahan that he should go back in there, and they won the game.
Right. But he was warming up on the side. And after that game, we talked to some of the players about what they thought and if Greasy would have been taken out, you know, what kind of direction that would have gone. It proved to be prolific, if you ask me, but no one knew that at the time. Why don't we go down to Rod Smith talking about the situation as well as Shannon Sharpe?
It has to do with the game at hand, and you know, we had a shift in momentum drastically, you know, and it wasn't Brian, it was all of us, you know, and I was kind of surprised when I heard Steve say I'm probably going in. I saw him warming up. I was like, hey, that's fine. You know, I had to try to get my game back on track too because my momentum had slipped a little bit. So. But I was very pleased that, you know, Brian got a chance to finish the game. I was very excited for him, and he came out of it, you know, smelling like a rose.
Mike wants to win right now, not in 2 games, not in 3 games, and you know, really nothing surprising me about Mike. But I'm glad that he stuck with Greasy. I'm glad he gave Greasy an opportunity, and I'm glad Greasy showed the poise and able to come back on the field and lead us down the football field, because I really feel this guy can get the job done for us.
Well, there you have it. After the 49ers win, they went on to Buffalo to play Buffalo. And we talked to Keith Washington, and he was mentioning what a tough schedule everybody thought they had out the gate. Why don't we go down to Keith Washington?
we got a tough schedule out the gate. I mean, you know, every game's tough, but you know, you have the Rams and the 49ers out the gate. It's a pretty tough beginning, but you know, in order to get where you want to be, you have to test yourself. So this is what we have to go through, and we have to make it happen.
Unfortunately, that was not the tough part of their schedule, and they breezed through it quite easily.
Yeah. It's a funny thing, too, because I thought they would be 0-3 by then. As I said on this show, and I just thought that.
That's right, you did.
And a number of folks who were at that time when they were winning, they were 3-0, were coming to me. Some media folks, I'm not going to mention names.
Okay.
And I remember talking to one person in King Soopers about the prospects of this team. And the same person who really was down in the Broncos wrote some columns praising them.
Them. Well, yeah, everybody jumps on the bandwagon when you have a couple of wins like that. But the fun one after that after that Buffalo win was Baltimore.
Yeah.
And that was Shannon Sharpe going back to his old team, and there was a lot of media hoopla, and Lionel Dalton as well was on the team, and just
Keith Washington too.
And Keith Washington at one point. But everyone just going back in there to Baltimore on Monday night. You couldn't have asked for a better battle.
Well, you know what happens, you know, if wishes were horses, you know, but the thing is that everyone looked at that as an easy win. Baltimore was, I think, 1-2 at the time. And looking bad, they had a lot of injuries. They had a young quarterback in there. The only player that everyone knew was Ray Lewis. And everyone was talking about Ray Lewis, but we saw what happened in that game.
Yes, we did. It was, I think everybody unfortunately saw it and probably won't forget it for a long
That's
time.
right.
Why don't we start off with Lionel, talking about him going back into Baltimore.
Now, going back into Baltimore this coming Sunday, tell us your feelings about going back in there and like you were talking earlier, being in the visiting locker room this time.
It's definitely going to be an experience. I don't know how I'm going to feel, you know. It's going to feel weird looking over and seeing all the purple jerseys, and I'm used to, you know, being on the home team side. I don't know, I might be a little upset, you know, if the fans boo me. I think that's going to be a little extra motivation because, you know, I was there and I worked hard and I thought I would be a Raven for the rest of my career.
Well, it didn't turn out the way Lionel wanted it. So far in the season, before that, though, Shannon Sharpe had not been producing.
No,
He'd come back and he just wasn't kind of hitting it the way everybody expected him to. He'd dropped some passes. And so before the Baltimore series, we asked him just, you know, what maybe he would do, what he could do going into Baltimore and why he hasn't gotten the passes or the receptions that he had expected. And let's take it down to Shannon and listen to what was funny. He said, maybe I can find another way to contribute to this team.
Thing is with me is that my grandfather always told me that sunshine follows rain, and I know I didn't catch a pass yesterday, but I know there are not going to be very many more days like that. If there is, I just have to find other ways to make a contribution to the team. And the thing that I'm most disappointed in, and I said it yesterday, is not that I didn't catch a pass, is that when I had an opportunity to catch a pass, I didn't rise to the occasion. Line's not getting in the end zone.
You know, at the time it seemed like Shannon Sharpe was going to be basically a cheerleader and a motivator, but as we see later on in the season, he did make some contributions, as you saw there.
Well, and then he did have to be a leader and a motivator as well, and a cheerleader on the sidelines.
Yeah, something happened, as you know, later on. But one thing, you know, sometimes you have a lot of so-called experts in this city who think they know what to ask Mike Shanahan. They think they know the questions, but sometimes it takes somebody who is a real expert to ask the key question that really became a prophecy for the whole season. And Michelle asked Shanahan a question that really set the tone for the rest of the season.
Yes, I
and
did.
We talked about this early on, and this is what happens.
Right. Well, actually, I asked him about third down efficiency and red zone coverage. Let's go down to Shanahan answering my question.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Something we'll work on. You know, we got to work on that. We got to work on the third down situations on offense. We were very poor at that this last game. Defensively, we got to continue to work on the red zone. You know, they were 3 for 3 in the red zone. We got to get better in that area. So the things we have been doing poorly, we're going to try to work on. But it's also nice to be able to not have a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination and still find a way to win.
Well, I think they picked up that third down efficiency with another key win there.
Right.
After that horrible Baltimore loss.
Well, for some of us, some of you it's horrible. For me, I knew it.
Well, embarrassing for the state of Colorado, if you ask me.
On Monday Night Football,
right,
yeah.
exactly. But after that win, then they went ahead and had a very heartbreaking loss to Miami. here at Invesco Field, as everybody I'm sure remembers.
And I really think that set the tone more than the Baltimore game for the rest of the season.
For the rest of the season, right, because that was where that, not only the loss, but then that was that whole Kanoy hit controversy.
Right.
And that, you know, if you ask me, I still don't think Kanoy came back full after that.
He didn't.
Nope.
And it was a key game for Miami because they lost their quarterback.
Right.
And they ended up like the Broncos, 9-7, not in the playoffs. So this is a
that's
big
true.
game for two teams in the season.
That's true. Some of my favorite footage was, though, of Shanahan defending Kanoy. Went to bat for him. I was very impressed by it. I still am. And
that's something you rarely see with
right,
the head
you rarely
coach.
see it, as you heard us say on the show. Let's go down and let's show you some of that footage of the coach standing up for Kanoy.
It happens, in my opinion, that he's going to take it and he's going to hit this guy right in the chest, right in the shoulder. But Denard Walker takes his hands right here and pushes his head forward. And according to the NFL, talking to Gene today, he told me that this had absolutely no influence on his head. He did not push it down at all and had no influence on the play. And I am not a physics major. But I would say this, and I'm not saying that my opinion's right over another opinion's right, but I would get a physics major and say, hey, before you can say this guy had an intent to hit this guy in the helmet, let's at least figure out the angles which are happening at this point. They listened to my disagreements, and then they came up with a decision.
Did they see a copy of that video?
Yes, they did. I thought it was fair, though, to show you exactly what I was looking at and what I based my opinions on. And it's also fair for them to have opinions and look at the same thing and have a disagreement. Their decision was Kanoy Kennedy is suspended for a game. And I will live with that because we live within the guidelines of rules. And if the NFL says that, we will live with it. But I think it's also important for everybody to see that Kanoy Kennedy is why he was suspended and for what type of hits. Because I think that's important for him, and I owe the players that before I owe anything else to anybody.
Let's also go down to Denard and just listen to him for a second, because I still think that maybe some of the blame should have been on Denard for that hit, for pushing him down like that. Let's take it to Denard.
You know, it's a tough situation to be in. That's a lot of money, of course, but you know, we're going to help Kanoy as much as we can, and you know, try to get him through this. But we're going to be okay.
Another one of my favorite players, as you all know, Rod Smith, said something that proved to be probably an important statement. It got out to the media that, you know, it's just not right that you appeal to the same guy who gave you the fine. That's a lose battle. Let's go down to Rod. Listen to him saying that. It was funny, though, because what happened after this was the NFL went and hired somebody else to handle appeals. So this proved to be an interesting point in time for the NFL.
I'm a receiver, and I don't like seeing receivers get hit like that, but with Denard pushing the guy in the back, and you would think, especially with all this high technology, we got slow motion, that they would take that into account, and you can tell that they didn't do that. I mean, you're appealing to the same guy who finds you, and I personally think that's a lose-lose battle. And
going into Kansas City there, though, Shannon Sharpe proved to have a career day. He set NFL records as well as Bronco records. And, you know, he just had one of those performances that I think every athlete dreams of. So, you know, kudos going out to Shannon for that.
Especially at his age. It's amazing what happened.
Right, to get it then. But other than that, that was definitely a dramatic come-from-behind win. That was almost reminiscent of the Elway days.
And it was actually a highlight game. It was a fun game.
It was a very fun game.
I'll admit that. It was a fun game. It was.
And after that game, talking to Kanoy and asking him about how he felt sitting on the sidelines, well, actually, he wasn't even on the sidelines. He was here in Denver. I think he said he went to ESPN Zone with his wife and was watching
this thing.
Yeah, let's go down to Kanoy.
You know, they had me nervous, man. You know, sitting there watching the game. You know, I think I've been that nervous when I'm playing myself. You know, so but it was weird though. You know, it's kind of like I was outside myself. You know, like the player part of Kanoy was at the game. You know, but you know, when it came down to it, you know, I was outside myself watching it. You know.
Did you catch yourself screaming and yelling at the TV at all?
No. You know, I just sit there quiet. You know, me and the wife was watching it. You know, I was just sitting there quiet. You know, just really didn't know how to take it. You know, but you know, made it through. You know, and then after the game, you know, just was calling the guys, make sure everybody was okay and everything.
You know, I looked at, after that game, it looked like the Broncos were being considered one of the top 3 teams in the league. In fact, they were being considered Super Bowl contenders on the rank of the 1977 Bronco team.
Oh,
Orange
right.
Crush.
That's when everyone started mentioning the Orange Crush, and they dubbed the Broncos the Blue Crush this year.
That's right. Great defense. They were
Didn't
number 1
really
in
crush a
defense
lot. Right.
in the NFL at that time.
Right. But, you know, this brings us about to the midway point, and before that we had Shannon Sharpe's Halloween party, which was a lot of fun seeing the guys dressed up. Let's go down and show you some of that footage from his Halloween party. Besides just Shannon's party, this brings us to Halloween,
right,
which we talked to Kanoy and Delta and had a cute little interview with them. Kanoy was interviewing Delta about what he was going to do. Let's go down to that footage.
What about you? What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, I got my best friend in town. We gonna go to this boo ball tonight.
Oh, I'll be there.
He'll be there with me. We just gonna chill, basically. You know, stay out of the cold weather, basically. Hopefully it don't be cold on the weekend. We can go out riding in the Chevelle, drop the top. We be cruising. Put on a wig so our hair can blow in the wind.
In the snow?
I said, hopefully if it don't snow this weekend.
But it's still gonna be cold.
It won't be. It's probably about 50. I can stand some 50-degree weather. But that 30, that 20, I can't deal with it.
Oh, okay. When I leave, I need you to feed my dog too.
See how he been putting everything on me? Well, put your hands on me then.
And so we're at the point now where they're 6-2. They're being considered Super Bowl champions. There's some folks out there that already have crowned them. I don't have my crown on now. Super Bowl champions, but
Hey, I thought we were going to have some good footage for you guys from the Super Bowl myself, so I was one of them.
well, the thing that happens is you don't win a championship
Halfway.
Halfway.
That's true. That's
Only
true.
happened once in history, and it was in Major League Baseball in 1981 during the strike.
Right.
They crowned teams halfway champions.
Through. That's funny. Well, actually, though, it was a very big turning point. Coming off that bye, and you heard us say a million times how we were concerned about the fact that these guys just didn't seem like they were into it. They were like, do. And it proved true. And the Raiders had lost 4 in a row.
They were 4-4, and they were ready to die.
Right, and I think Lionel Dalton summed it up best.
Yes.
Why don't we go down to Lionel talking about going into that Raiders game?
Team, and they lost 4 in a row, and if they lose another one, it can be probably end of their playoff or Super Bowl run. So I think we're going to see the best Oakland team you've seen this year, and this game right here is going to be like a playoff mentality type game.
So it really makes them that much more dangerous coming in here almost like a little bit wounded.
It's nothing worse than a desperate team. You never know. Like when we played the Ravens, they were desperate, and those guys they have a lot of big-name guys. They have something to prove, and you have big-time players like Jerry Rice and Tim Brown that can make big plays. So we definitely going to have our cards cut out for it this week, but we're looking forward for the challenge.
Yeah, it's your first year here. We make a big deal about the Bronco-Raider rivalry.
Yeah.
For you, is it any big deal?
Of course it's a big deal because it's a big game. You know, it's a conference game, and you want to win all your conference games. And plus it's Oakland, and you know the motion's going to be a little higher.
Let's go down to a couple of the guys talking about Romanowski. I mean, he was the big topic that week in the locker room. Let's go down to Keith Burns and Clinton Portis.
No, not at all. I mean, Romo's going to be Romo. I mean, like I say, he has a job to do, and whatever it takes for him to get his team fired up, he has to do it. And I think if, whatever he said in the preseason, he said it, and now, everything's going to come to a head come Monday night.
I done watched Bill Romanowski play numerous of times, but there's no big talk about Romanowski. I think he's going to come in, and it's going to be exciting to see him back in Denver. He's going to come in with his A game.
Well, Romo sure proved something. He proved that he could dislocate Shannon Sharpe's elbow in that game.
But it was a legal hit. It was a legal hit.
It was a legal hit. It was also a legal catch, which was never ruled. It was a little disappointing to have an injury like that, and then, to add insult to injury, not get the catch.
Yeah, that
not
was
get
the key
the ruling.
thing.
So, but, we talked to some of the guys after the game. about Shannon and if they were going to miss him and what it was going to do to the team.
You know, replace Shannon Sharpe, but you can have guys who now have an opportunity to step up and make plays.
He is more of the receiver guy, but he is a good blocker. So, you know, we can use him in either way.
I concentrate mostly on my blocking, but, you know, everybody, we're finding out that I can catch the ball a little bit, though.
You can surprise a few people with that?
Yeah, I think so. Not my teammates, though. My teammates know what I can do, I think. But everybody else, you know, getting a chance to see that I can catch the ball a little bit more and, you know, do some things with it.
Does Shannon still coach you from the sideline?
Yeah, he tell me what, you know, he give me some little inside pointers, you know, some stuff I wouldn't see, you know, him being on the sideline looking at it. So, he coaches me up a little bit.
Is it important to have him with you guys as far as the emotional aspect goes?
Yeah, always. I mean, he's been a big lift for us, you know, all year, and you know, he should continue to. You know, it helps us out.
Well, for some of you folks out there, this is the beginning of the end of the Broncos there after the Oakland game, and we begin to talk about the mood in the locker room to the point that one of Michelle's favorite Bronco players, Rod Smith, gets a little testy with her in this clip here.
I remember that. That was kind of funny. It was almost entertaining in a way, actually, because he was a little irritated with my question. But I stepped with it and
you did an excellent job. And also, we'll show a clip of Bertrand Berry talking about this being a 16-round fight. They're down, they are down now. Also, we'll put a clip here about the urgency of what Monte Rieger talks about.
Right, that the sense of urgency really has always been there all along, which I don't know if
Michelle and I
true.
are beginning to question these players
at this point. That's true. Let's go down to these guys.
Have the attitude you needed to as far as...
Do these people who said that play football?
Sure.
Who? Name them. Oh, this one of them unknown sources again? One of your sources that... I'm serious. I ain't giving you a hard time. You asked me a question, I'm asking you a question.
Okay. What's the attitude right now?
We know what we got to get done, and you know, the thing is we can't get so uptight that we go out there and make mistakes. I think we still got to have fun and enjoy the challenge.
Things going, any sense of urgency?
Man, it's been there for the last 6 weeks, man. Now it's at a higher stake because we know what we have to do. We know what we have to do in order to get to where we want to get to. And so we're just going to take the proper approach, take it one game at a time, play this game as if it is our last game. And if we do that, we'll get the job.
One last thing that I think proved to be integral there was Shannon Sharpe said, we are not good when we have to be, which I think is what was the theme for the season.
That's it. He became a prophet, and you saw what happened in the second half of the season.
Yep. Let's go down to Shannon saying that real quick.
That's the most frustrating thing. If we're getting beat, 17, 21 points, we're just not good. We're losing, 3-point a game, a play here, a play there. And no one can tell me that San Diego, they got a good football team, but San Diego shouldn't have beat us. Indy shouldn't have beat us. We shouldn't have lost this game to the Jets. There's nobody can tell me, I know we lost, but there's nobody can tell me that we should have lost to those guys because I know we're a better football team. We're more talented in all phases. Well, right now we're struggling in two major areas that you really have to be good in defensively, and that's third down and that's the red zone. And right now our defense is not getting off the football field.
After this, they go into New York and play the Jets, and this is the game where Greasy comes back, because as you remember, he was injured for 2 games, and Berline was in there. And as you know, after this game, they lost in New York. This is where Michelle becomes the referee.
Oh, yes, this was the referee moment. That was a lot of fun. Let's go down to some of that footage.
Michelle just said that she had a better position than referees. Therefore, Michelle is a referee then. She should be out there doing instant replays and all. Do you believe that?
I did have a better view, and I'm going to show you where this play took place, okay? Follow me. Let's pretend we are in New York, right? Okay, we're at the Meadowlands. It's freezing cold. You have on your scarves, your hats, your gloves, your coat. And keep walking. Come on, a little bit faster. It's the end of the game, and the Broncos have the ball. They have a chance to go ahead and come away with this win. I am standing right here, not right here, but let me show you, right over here, right in front of that yellow dotted line right there. See, look at that yellow dotted line, and wait, let me see. I believe it was right here where the interception took place. And, the ball was coming, he was wide open. It's like he threw it straight to him. He came down, he caught it down here. He was like this. He caught it, bam, right there, okay? That was my view. Now walk with me here. I was just, let me count how many steps, okay? I don't want to step on the paint. I was right here. And you can see how close that is. It was directly in front of me, within maybe 15 yards at the very most, 10 yards. And I did. There was not a ref in front of me. The ref was over here. The ref was standing over on this side. There might have been another one over here. I don't know. But I had an unobstructed, right in front of me view. And it was a good, clean play. I'm sorry. I hate to say it. Rod, I'm a fan. I'm a Bronco fan. But sorry, buddy. You just missed on that one. So, this is how close I was. What do you got to say to that, Greg?
As you have seen in the papers, the Greasy obituary has been written. And the
That's
Oakland
true.
game was actually the final nail in that coffin.
That Oakland game was, it didn't go the way I expected. I honestly thought that the Broncos would be able to go in there and get that game. It was very frustrating sitting up in there in that press box, and that it just, they ran away with it. They lost it within the first few minutes, and they tried to come back, and they did a good job. They kept the game entertaining at least until the end, but were unable to do it, and that just stuck the nail in the coffin. Why don't we listen to some of the guys talking about just knowing pretty much that their season was over? I mean, yeah, they had a small hope at that point, but not much. Let's go down and listen to them.
We both had the same thing riding on this game, and I think it's going to be critical that we make at least 3 more plays than they make.
Hopefully we score a lot of points and they don't score a lot of points. That's all I can say. Hope we can get them that for Christmas. That's the only thing I can wish for.
Which brings us to hoping that everything would go in that weird mathematical way that you heard Greg trying to say why he was the king earlier in the game. Right before, actually, the Arizona Cardinal game here at Invesco Field started, they found out because the Cleveland Browns won, and of course you heard the drama that maybe they did it on, that they lost that game on purpose. I know.
A lot of people say that to me, too.
I'm just saying, they're saying it in the papers, they're saying it in the locker rooms, they're saying it everywhere, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It should not have come down to somebody scheming, knowing that they were going to get on the playoffs and purposely not make a touchdown. Give me a break. You can't. That just looks like an excuse. They had no excuse. They had a great team. They just, after midway through the season, they just partied and had a good time, and they never came back the same ever.
They had this division won.
Right. Whether it was the whole issue with Kanoy, whether it was Shannon Sharp being hurt, whether it was Greasy tripping over his dog, or whatever the issue, you know. And actually, I do want to say one thing, which you haven't heard much.
What's that?
Offensive line. What happened to the offensive line that I think made a big difference, because that's when it turned around as well.
People forget that Tom Nolan was hurt.
Nolan?
No, what is Nolan? I'm sorry.
Nailin.
We won't use that. But,
yeah, we will. You're thinking of Mike Nolan.
That's right, somebody out there. But anyway, he was hurt. That was a key thing, and people forget about that. They talk about everything else, Shannon Sharp getting hurt, Kanoy's incident, everything.
But that was big, because that's when, after that, things started to go downhill. And that is very key to the offense and to the quarterback and to whoever else is having a day. They need to have that protection. And somebody like that, he was Pro Bowler.
But even
Pro Bowler to go down. No one's talked about that.
Even though Nailin was hurt, the fact of the matter is it wasn't going to help Greasy. It wasn't going to help him one bit. He, as I said at the beginning of the year, and I still say this, and everyone realizes this now, he is not a guy that's going to get you into the playoffs. He's not going to do it. All we can say about Greasy is bye-bye.
Well, it was a fun season. It definitely provided entertainment, at least. If nothing else, there were a lot of those white-knuckle games there at the end.
But it really is a disappointing season comparing it to the previous season where everyone...
Because we thought we were going to go. Yeah. We thought we were going to go last year. Well, a lot of people did.
Seriously, I actually thought 6-2. You guys
thought you were going to at least go to the first round of the playoffs, at least wild card. Come on. We want to leave you, we're out of time, but we want to leave you with an entertaining guy, speaking of entertainment, Ephraim Salaam. At the beginning of the season, he had us cracking up with this footage. It was just kind of funny, just went to show his personality, and we'll leave you with that, and we will see you next time on Take It to the House.
Yes, I'm Ephraim. I'm a Gemini.
Are you single?
I like long walks and quiet evenings with candlelight. No, just,
and you're a good cook as well.
And I'm a good cook. I give excellent back rubs.
That's too funny.
Cold outside. I gotta go to practice. I can't talk to the media right now. Okay?
If you had one shot one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted. One moment that you capture, just let it slip. Yo.